BZA on March 18th, 2021 is called to order. Let's call the roll to see who's present, please.
Throckmorton,
Yes.
Sandberg,
Here.
Burrell,
Here.
Husky,
Here.
and Clapper is absent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm making some notes here. All right. All right. I believe if I remember, yeah, we had no meeting minutes to approve, so we'll bypass that. Let's take a look. Reports, resolutions, and communications. Other than what's on the agenda, is there anything else, Jackie, that we need to be aware of?
No, the only thing I wanted to clarify is I think I entered the our one petition tonight. The case number is correct in the report and not on the agenda. So it's actually V0121, just for when we get to that. Otherwise, no, we are Plan Commission. The other large body that is run by this, is staffed by this department, is working on an update to the zoning map and text amendments. So just as a getting that out there, please feel free. Those meetings will start up again next Monday and Thursday of next week. We will look at text amendments.
Very good. Okay, so first off, let's deal with the election of the officers. So currently, Barry Clapper is the president. I'm currently the vice president. Do we have any nominations for president?
I nominate Bear Clapper as president of the BZA.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, and do we want to, Jackie, do we need to do it individually or as a slate?
I believe we can do it individually.
All right, let's just deal with Barry first then.
Okay.
So I have a motion and a second for Barry Clapper to serve again as the president for BZA. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, let's call the roll. Yes to elect her ongoing as president. No to deny that. And go ahead and call the roll.
Husky,
Yes.
Throckmorton,
Yes.
Sandberg,
Yes.
and Burrell.
Yes.
4-0, thank you.
All right, passes unanimously. Do I have a nomination for vice president for the BZA for this coming term?
I would nominate Joe Throckmorton for vice president.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
second? I'm sorry. All right, so
You got a
thank
second.
you. All right, we have a nomination, a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, let's call the roll. Yes for continuing to serve as vice president, no to deny.
Burrell,
Yes.
Husky,
Yes.
Throckmorton,
Yes,
and Sandberg.
Yes.
4-0, thank you.
unanimous. Okay, that completes that. And according to our agenda, we had one petition that was withdrawn. Could you please tell me, was that V2920 or was that was from last year, right?
That is from last year, correct. So that case number is correct, V2920. Upon further review of the details, it actually wasn't a variance that ended up needing to be required.
Okay, very good. We have one that's continued again from last year. This will be continued to the April 22nd meeting, and that's CU/V-19-20. Anything to report on that?
So I think everyone knows this, but just to clarify, this is a petition that some of the text amendments that are going forward to Plan Commission and then Council would affect this variance. And so we're basically continuing it. Staff is continuing it out until those are rectified and a decision is made on those amendments, and then we can figure out what variances, if any, are needed.
Okay. Before we go on to petitions, just a note, our next meeting is April 22nd, 2021, 5:30. Do we have any, the reason I bring it up now is, do we have any indication of when we will be able to go back to in-person meetings?
I have not received any guidance beyond that. We're still following the governor's executive orders, and that's where we still are at this point. Other communities have gone to hybrid or some in-person meetings, but we have not had any direction toward that yet.
And the reason for me asking that is many of those I think here have been vaccinated, and I just want to make sure that that's on the record. And as we move forward, we're all aware of when we might be going back to live meetings. Okay, with that, the petition for this evening is V-01-21, and it's Dex and Kelly Conaway. May I have a staff report, please?
Sure. All right. All right, this petition is for the property located at 1358 East Mercedes Drive. The property is about 0.3 acres, is zoned R2 residential medium lot, and has been developed with a single family dwelling, as have all of the surrounding properties. The petitioners are requesting a variance to allow for a fence in excess of 4 feet forward of the front building setback line along the lot frontage of a secondary front building wall. The petitioners are proposing to construct an 8-foot tall fence intended to protect their currently existing food garden plot from animals. The proposed fence will run along a portion of the western property line, north of the south property line, 6 feet from the eastern property line, and about even with the southern wall of the primary structure to the north. 9 feet of the proposed fence along the eastern property line will be forward of the front building setback along South Allendale Drive. The entire fence is proposed to feature voids and solids and be of open construction, as you can see here on the right. The UDO allows for fences intended exclusively to protect food garden plots from animals to be 12 feet in height maximum unless otherwise restricted by the UDO. On quarter lots in the R2 district, the UDO does not allow for portions of a fence along a lot frontage of the secondary front building wall to exceed 4 feet forward of the front building setback. So the R2 has a 15-foot front building setback, which applies to this house. The proposed fence will encroach roughly 9 feet into the front building setback, and it will exceed the 4-foot maximum. While fences are allowed in that area, the height is exceeded or in excess of the 4-foot limit and would require variance. Shown here in yellow is the 15-foot setback, where a fence would be permitted up to a maximum of 4 feet. Shown in green is the area where the fence would be permitted up to the maximum of 8 feet in height, or 12 feet if it were in order to allow for protection of a food garden plot. As you can see, much of the portion of the eligible area for a fence for the protection of a food garden plot is underneath the drip line of a large maple tree on the southwestern part of the property. So with that, the variance criteria, the first one, no injury is found with the requested variance. The fence is located well outside the vision clearance triangle of the intersection at East Mercedes and South Allendale. The fence will also feature open design, allowing for visibility from the fence, between the fence sidewalk and the street and the house. So the use and value of the surrounding area are not expected to be substantially affected. The property is currently developed with a single-family dwelling, which will continue after the variance. The portion of the fence which will require a variance is not adjacent and does not abut a property. And the food garden plots and fences designed to protect those are not uncommon in R2 parcels. Practical difficulty is found in the required 4-foot maximum height forward of the front building setback line along the lot frontage of a secondary front building wall. Fences intended exclusively to protect food garden plots from animals are specifically permitted to exceed most height restrictions in the UDO. The allowance for additional height is not extended to portions of corner lots along lot frontages of secondary front building setback lines. Due to the peculiar conditions on this property of the tree being located on the southwestern portion of the property, locating a food garden plot with a fence adequate to deter deer and other animals is difficult. The petitioners have attempted to install and utilize other permittable deer deterrents in order to protect the current food garden plot, but have found none to be successful. Peculiar condition is found in the location of a large maple tree on the southwestern portion of the property. The large maple shades much of the property and prevents adequate light from reaching a majority of the property behind the primary structure. Roughly 45 or 47% of the property is covered by that drip line. And the large maple tree and the location of the house on the lot combined to reduce the usable food garden plot area to the point where the petitioners needed to locate the plot in an area where a code compliant fence could not protect the plot from deer and other animals. As a result, the variance is needed. With that, the recommendation from the department is that the Board of Zoning Appeals adopts the proposed findings and approve VO 21 or VO 121, excuse me, with the following conditions. One, the entirety of the fence forward to the front building setback line along the lot frontage of the secondary front building wall be of open construction as shown in the drawings. The fence height forward of the front building setback line along the lot frontage of the secondary front building wall will not exceed 8 feet in height, and if the food garden plot is removed, the portion of the fence forward of the front building setback line along the lot frontage of the secondary front building wall that exceeds 4 feet shall be removed. And I can take any questions.
We'll have questions at that point. It's time for petitioners or petitioners' reps to present their case. It looks like Kelly is with us. Is that right? Kelly Conaway, if you'd unmute, please, and state your name for the record.
Okay.
I need you to state your name, please.
Kelly Conaway, can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yes, I can. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you have up to 20 minutes to present your petition. If you only use a portion of that, that will be reserved, and you can use that time further when we come back to you.
Okay, great.
You may begin.
Okay, thank you. As Ryan's case clearly stated, there's a couple particulars with our lot that makes growing our food garden plot difficult. First, I'll introduce myself, though. I'm Kelly Conaway. I wanted to thank you for meeting with me tonight. And hopefully when the meeting is done, you will see the difficulties we're having with our property and vote yes on our variance. Dex and I, my husband Dex and I moved from Indianapolis about 4 years ago. We are IU alumni and we love this area. We love hiking and camping with our kids. We also both have extensive backgrounds in organic gardening and farming. So the first thing we did when we bought this lot is planted the 3 fruit trees. Our daughter Iris picked a peach tree, my son Odin picked a cherry, and I picked an apple. Soon after we planted those trees, though, we realized the tremendous deer pressure in Sherwood Oaks. I'm sure many of us are familiar with kind of the deer pressure in our town. It's difficult too when you have neighbors and they just feed off of the bird feeders. And so we caged in our trees as best as we can, but they've reached the point at almost 4 years old that they're outgrowing the cages. And so that we realized that quickly. And then after living here for a season, we did realize that the maple tree on the southwest portion of our lot shaded out so much of the backyard. So we have a neighbor who's a DNR officer, and he thinks that the tree is almost 40 years old. It's a beautiful, healthy tree, and we'd love to preserve it, but it really does limit our food garden and, and the fruit trees to the only feasible area growing food is the southeast corner. So those are some of the particulars with the lot. And then we do think that the fence will start construction at the rear of the house. So it's approximately 90 feet from Mercedes Drive, which I think that, and with the design of the fence being an open field fence and you can see through it, I don't think that there should be any visual impairment from drivers. And also Mercedes Drive is a cul-de-sac. There's only 5 houses in the cul-de-sac. So there's a pretty low, traffic pulling out onto Allendale. So I don't foresee that being a problem. And then as Ryan stated, also the safety of being able to see pedestrians on the sidewalk and the street should not be a problem with the open design of the fence. So I think that kind of sums up some of the challenges we have. And yeah, so we are petitioning to be able to move, to be able to have the fence closer to the actual property line and be able to fence in those fruit trees and our food garden plot and have that fence 8 feet tall. I think that's all I have to say, and I'm open to any questions. Hopefully I can answer them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kelly. You've used about 5 minutes, so you'll have plenty of time if you need to make a further case later. You can use
Okay.
up to 15 minutes. Now with that, let's turn to questions from the board for either the staff or the petitioner or both. Who'd like to begin? Are there any questions? I see none. Okay, no questions. Do we have anyone from the public? Jackie, are you monitoring? Okay, do we have any questions that we need to address from the public?
No, I don't see any here or on Facebook.
Okay. With that, any other board questions, procedural questions that you have before we move forward? If someone is to make a motion in support of this request, I would ask that you pull up the conditions and please read that as part of your motion. At this point, we are at a point where there's no one from the public wanting to make comment. So I will, based on procedural stipulations, turn to the petitioner to ask Kelly if she has any other comments she'd like to make before we ask for a motion. I don't see her. Kelly, can you speak yes or no, whether you would like more time?
I do not need any more time.
Very good. Thank you, Kelly. And with that, I will turn to the board for action.
Well, I will go ahead and move adoption of the proposed findings and approve V-01/21 with the following conditions. Do those need to be read aloud, or
Yes,
can
please.
everyone see it
Yes.
on the screen?
Yes.
Number 1, entirety of the fence forward of the front building setback line along the lot frontage of the secondary front building wall will be of open construction as shown in the drawings. 2, the fence height of the fence forward of the front building setback line along the lot frontage of the secondary front building wall will not exceed 8 feet in height. And last, number 3, if the food garden plot is removed, the portion of the fence forward of the front building setback line along the lot frontage of the secondary front building wall that exceeds 4 feet shall be removed.
Thank you, Susan. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Joe, can I ask a procedural question?
Please.
Someone has joined the meeting and asked if they missed public comment.
I
They
see.
did.
Now,
Public comment.
let's, just with a voice acclamation, may I suspend the motion for brief public comment? If everyone is
Yes.
okay with that, please say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, let's please just stop for a second. We'll suspend action on this motion and hear from the public. Who do we have?
So I'm sorry about that. My name is Renee Miller and I'm a neighbor to this property.
Okay, and I need to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Always, yes.
Yes, you have 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes to speak. We'd love to hear from you, please.
I don't need all that time. Thank you. I appreciate it though. I just wanted to say that I support as a neighbor to Kelly and Dex this proposal, and I hope that you all do pass it. I also wonder that, let's say when they're 70, 75 years old, and let's say they're not gardening, that perhaps you'll still let them keep their fence. That's my only concern about that. I mean, if they don't garden when they're 80, are you going to make them take down their fence? Seems a little like maybe that one little stipulation could be subtracted from it.
Okay, well, thank you for your comment. Do you have anything further?
I do not. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate you taking the time to join us. With that, I will go back to the board. We have a motion and a second. And I will ask if there are any further comments from the board before we call the roll. Yes, Candace.
Yeah, so the fruit trees, are they part of what's considered the food garden plot?
Yes, that's correct.
Essentially, as long as the trees are there, they are allowed to have the fence.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
Oh, sorry. I'll just clarify that this is a condition because this is one of our first kind of food garden plot related variances. But code would just require that if there is no food back there, the fence would have to come down. We put it in there for clarifying purposes. But if anyone put up a fence that didn't meet the 4-foot requirement and there was no food behind it, they would have to fix it.
Yes. Understood, and this has nothing to do with deeds, ongoing transfer of property, or anything. This is a code issue. So any other comments or questions? Okay, with that, I would like to call the roll. Yes is approval of the variance. No is a denial of the variance.
Sandberg?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Burrell?
Yes.
Husky?
Yes.
And Throckmorton?
Yes.
4-0. Variance is approved. Thank you.
Yes, the variance passes. The petition has been granted. Do we have any other business before us this evening?
We do not.
You know, I hate to do this, but you got to tell Barry every time I do this, like, really fast. I don't know what it is.
I'll pass that along.
I'm kidding. With that, and without objection, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And how do I sign this, Jackie?
I will get you a copy. We just take them to her house.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get you a copy.
Well,
Okay.
I'll be at my office tomorrow, which is across the street at 216 North Rogers.
Yes.
So if either I can come over and sign it or whatever, if you just want to call me.
Okay. I'll ask Carmen if she's in.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.